So one thing I've noticed over the last 10 years, basically a decade, was that how wealth is actually a very intentional process. And so a lot of people have this pipe dream of getting rich and they just want to get rich, but they don't know why. They don't know exactly how to get rich, and they just waste a bunch of time on the internet. And one thing I have done recently was kind of piece this together from the last 10 years as to how I got wealthy, why I got wealthy, and literally the pathway to get wealthy. And so I actually just released this brand new book, The Roadmap to Financial Freedom, A Millionaire's Guide to Building Automated Wealth. And you'll see 2 copies in the back right up here, which is pretty cool. Got them all over the house. I love this book. This is really a representation of just exactly what I did the last 10 years. And so a lot of people see the wealth I built, and I literally just got a comment seconds ago on a post I had of, I'm 31, built a millionaire plus net worth. And the person said, well, how much help did you have? And so I always want to address this question. Obviously, it's somewhat annoying when you see it at volume and you know what you've done yourself, and people look at you and they make assumptions based on a lot of things I'll leave out of this conversation today. But what I will say is that I grew up with zero financial literacy, and my parents didn't give me any dollars after high school. So the thing that I don't want to discredit ever, obviously, is my parents gave me food. My parents gave me a good education, and also a same parent household. That alone is massive. And I'm not going to discount that by any means. But what I will say is I did not have financial literacy. They did not understand what a Roth IRA is, and they still might not today. I don't think they really actually fully understand that. And so all of the wealth that I built was from learning myself, applying myself, and building an exact roadmap. And that's literally what this book is, The Roadmap to Financial Freedom. If you wanted to start today and you have no idea where to start, that's the book you want to have, because that's going to walk you through an exact framework that I talk about. Track your money, grow your money, protect your money. It's very clear cut as to how you build wealth. And wealth, when I say it's intentional, is taking you back about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, my wife and I were in $304,000 of debt. We didn't have many investments, and our net worth was negative $8,000. Negative $8,000 isn't great, to say the least. So when I was born, I had a $0 net worth. When I was 22, I had a negative $8,000 worth. I literally walked backwards in 22 years. And I want to be very clear in this distinction of how we became wealthy was not an inheritance, not some master mentor that took me through this path and I knew exactly what to do. It was just trial and error and utilizing all of the resources we had available to us, which were the internet essentially. We figured this out. We mastered the process. I got my CPA exam passed, and I started working in the professional field, and I saw a lot of people around me getting really wealthy. I always joke, my partner at Deloitte, Bob Bitter, he had foreign cars imported. He had leather bound books, as Ron Burgundy would say. And there was a lot of stuff in his house that I was like, these things, he has China. I don't know. I didn't grow up calling things China. Most plates and forks and things of that nature got broken in my house. Sometimes they were paper. So it wasn't like I came from that like world, right? So I saw this whole new world within my Deloitte career, and it really opened my mind. And I realized 8 out of 10 people were first generation millionaires, and I was the first millionaire in my family. So to put that in perspective, when I say wealth's intentional, you have to want it, but you also have to have a pathway to get there. You have to know why you want it. Because if you just walk down this empty pathway of I need to get richer, what you're going to do, and a lot of my students have voiced this to me recently. Actually, yesterday, one of my students told me about this. He said, I was just trying to beat the market because I wanted to build wealth, but I didn't know why. And I had no goals attached to my financial, numbers. So the first thing I do for everybody is when they're trying to build wealth, I specifically say, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying to get to? Because if I don't know that, I could take you down the wrong pathway and unintentionally, because you're just telling me you want to get to this number, but you don't tell me why. Every single account or every single goal that you have should have an account associated with it. And that account should be detailed in a way from a portfolio allocation perspective that gives you an understanding of a timeline, of a risk profile, and specifically what that goal for that account is. When you can get to that and you can map that out, the only thing waiting in between you and your success is time. But you can also understand what that time exactly is. There's no guessing in financial freedom. And so I should be able to tell myself when I'm paying off the debt, when I'm going to become financially free, when I'm going to retire early, whatever goal that you have. I want to retire, I want to travel the world, I want to buy a Lamborghini. I don't care what your goals are, it doesn't matter. But the bigger thing is being able to map that stuff out, because when you have confidence and clarity in that vision, it's just a matter of time, my friends. So when I was writing this book specifically, this really stemmed from my daughter. So on the back page right here, this book is 100% proceeds are dedicated to my daughter. I don't make any profit from this book. It's not my intention. I built my wealth. I've been able to do an incredible amount of stuff. We have $1 million donation goals at this point in time. We've passed the financial freedom number. I don't need to have money. Like, that's not my goal here. My goal is to help other people. My goal is to change the course of Dravet syndrome. And my goal is to show you that you can become an everyday millionaire. Like I said, guys, I was the first millionaire in my family. I was an everyday person. There was nothing special about me. I came from zero financial literacy. If I can do it, I am very, very, very certain, and why I speak with so much confidence, that you can do it, because I've done it for thousands of people within my academy, and people are becoming millionaires every single day. Like, that's how often this is happening. Literally 4 days ago, Chris became a millionaire. Literally 2 days ago, Joe increased his net worth over a 10-month period working with me, or $200,000 in 10 months. So if that gives you guys any perspective of the route you can go when you actually want to win with your money, I think it's amazing to realize that everyone has the power and the ability to build wealth. And I think that is the limiting belief that is holding back most people from building wealth, is that intentionality aspect of it. And obviously we can talk about intention and guidance and all this stuff and, like, pathways, but also let's look at it from a numbers perspective. The power of starting now versus waiting is so substantial, and people just don't understand this at all, in fact. And I'm going to show you exact numbers. So let's say you have $100,000 invested, and you're going to invest this for 30 years at historical market returns, which is 10%. And yes, you can get 10% for anyone that's out there that doesn't believe that. That's just the S&P 500, literally, historically speaking. And let's say you do this for a 30-year period with $2,000 per month, so $24,000 per year. At the end of that 30 years, you're going to have $5.7 million to your name. Now, that might sound like a lot, but here's the power of starting now. Because if you decide to wait, let's say you just don't think this is that important. Let's say you take your time. Let's say it will happen after you finish X, Y, and Z. And you're just going to push this to the side, which is usually just procrastination because you're afraid to start. That's really what it comes down to. You're afraid to start because of some reason. You're afraid to lose. You're afraid to fail. Whatever the case is, basic human stuff. If you wait 5 years, which happens all the time, people start when they're 30 instead of 25, or 25 instead when they're 20. You're going to have $3.4 million to your name. So waiting 5 years, like literally just waiting 5 years, costs you $2.2 million. But people don't feel that, and people are cheap, and they're like, well, it's whatever, it doesn't come out of my pocket. And they just let this opportunity cost go by the wayside, like all the time. This happens all the time. And you have the potential to change that right now. You have the potential to start right now, to learn, to educate, to empower yourself. And that's exactly why this book came out, The Roadmap to Financial Freedom. This is going to show you the exact pathway to become a major, major success. This is not fluff. This is intentionality. This is exact road mapping. This is exactly what I did over the last 10 years to be worth $2.6 million at the age of 32 years old. It wasn't an accident, guys. There was no handout. There was no luck here. It was very intentional. It was very guided, and anybody can do the same thing I'm doing. It just comes down to, do you actually want it as bad as I wanted it? I wanted to become financially free. I had some really big things that occurred in my life that made sense as to why I needed to be, and I didn't say needed to become financially free. On the back of this book, that is the reason I needed to become financially free. My wife had to stay home with my daughter, because if she didn't stay home, she would not be where she is from a progression standpoint, from a development standpoint right today. She's about 2.5 years old as we speak. Her development has been incredible, but that's because we moved across the nation. That's because I allowed my wife to quit her 9-to-5 to focus on Logan's health all day long. And my wife does an incredible job with that, but that's because she has the time to dedicate. And that is what the truth of the financial freedom is. It has nothing to do with cars, with houses, with stuff of anything. Like, I don't care about this stuff. Literally, everyone's like, well, if you're really financially free, why don't you have a Lambo? It's like, because I don't care. Like, I could go buy that in cash today if I wanted to. And that's not to boast. That's just to be honest with people, of like showing the other side of wealth. Most people online are going to be talking about the financial freedom for the idea of like traveling the world and buying all this fancy stuff and dating all these exotic women and like that kind of like lifestyle, Dan Bilzerian lifestyle. Not my cup of tea. I have a wife, I have a family, and I need to take care of it. And so with my daughter's situation, if she didn't have the proper medicine, if she didn't have the proper supplements, if she didn't have the proper care, the proper therapy, I could go on for days. She would not develop, and that would change her life forever, in fact. And today, if you met her, you probably wouldn't know much is all that different. Now, we see a lot of differences as parents, especially with our younger one, of development and stuff like that. And there's only so much we can do. We don't have all the power in the world. There are things that money can't solve. And Dravet syndrome at this point is one of those things. But what I will say is, if you start now, you have the intentionality behind why you're doing what you're doing, you're gonna accomplish it, guys. The financial freedom is not impossible. It's not easy, and most people won't do it because most people are gonna get hit in the mouth one time and quit. But I've been bleeding, I've been stabbed, I've been punched punched in the face, figuratively here, and I just don't quit. And I think that's the big reason that I'm at where I'm at. And I'm trying to motivate a lot of people to do the same. Again, nothing special about me. I don't quit. Like, you won't outlast me. That's something I'm very, very passionate about because I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And a lot of this has to do with my daughter. A lot of this has to do with things outside of myself. And so when you're thinking about just yourself and the selfish reasons as to why you want to achieve financial freedom, I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But what I will say is there's a power of helping others. There's a power of trying to accomplish something for a bigger purpose and a bigger mission that will drive you to crazy results. And you are just the benefactor from a lifestyle perspective. You got everything covered because you focused on other people and you helped other people. And when you have the right values in place, you're going to be at a very, very strong point in your life where you'll probably reach financial freedom and not even care. You probably won't even notice it because you're on such a mission for such a bigger reason. That's just kind of like the side effect of what you're doing. And so I want to really, really hit this home today and make this much more casual style video of showing you that starting now and the power of intentionality is going to change your life forever. And I want you to do this yourself. If you need help, I have a link in the show notes below to get my book. You will support 100% Dravet syndrome. I make $0 off of this, and this will start you on your way. You can always DM me on Instagram, social media, whatever the case is, and get started as well. But here we are trying to change the world at Budget Dog, and this is such a bigger mission than just the everyday financial page out there trying to get you to pay off debt and invest a lot of money. We have intention in everything we do, and that's going to shine through the process in which we teach our students. And so it's on you to take that next step. I'm not going to force anybody to take this step, but what I will say is share my experiences so that you can understand where we're coming from, why we were able to do what we've done, and also that you can do exactly the same. But it's not easy. You got to start now. So hopefully you guys took a lot from this today. Hopefully this was a very big value add, a very big wake up moment for a lot of people. I hope that aha moment just slapped you in the face respectfully, and I will see you guys next Monday.